Oh, yeah. Brothers and sisters, man, we've been at it doing what we got to do to stay out of trouble. That's right. You read it right. White heaven, act of God. And we'll start real quick with how we got here. Um, Whether people say it's an act of warfare that led to certain groups of individuals being removed en masse from the continent of Africa, whether certain people say that it was a cataclysm of events that had perpetuated and had been continuated or in continuation, uh, perpetrated by a specific group of individuals that led to their ultimate demise and their eventual servitude and oppression. I'd like to break it down real quick. See, because here in White Heaven, we're not here to talk about white folks today so much as we're here to talk about White Heaven and what it's done to the mindset. So we have a group of individuals who will tell you that Afro people or, melanated people, right? I love those guys. I love those women too who talk. Oh, I love them. They're my favorite. But they talk like there's gods and goddesses running amok upon the earth, and this is why no one can really practice their true power because they're all trying to practice their power on gods. While that makes me grimace and wince, I have to say, are we in white heaven? Because an act of God? Because they think they're God? See, they put that little lowercase g. I'm a, I'm gonna put a title on them because you don't get to take credit where credit is not yours and not get to get the title. The title that the credit belongs to, you also take that. So, having said that, because we have individuals who say that they are gods and goddesses, are we not here because of an act of God? Surely, if the African is the first man ever and is indeed God on the earth, surely I'm not mistaken. Could I be? Someone correct me if I'm wrong. You have people who bloviate and extol the greatness of a continent of individuals who cannot even get it together long enough to wipe their own backsides. And yet, they say we seed from them. And yet, they say that these are gods on the earth. So, is it an act of God then while we're here? Or will they capitulate that those are not us genetically, spiritually, or in the soul type of fashion? We're nothing alike. Only like the ones who share a physical likeness to us. Hold on. That being said, because anybody can be raised in America, taught English, and speak like a so called American or a Westerner. That being said, is the act of God the lesser considered, lesser welcomed in the mind of the unlearned, lesser loved, the Most High God, the creator of heaven and earth, a single entity who birthed from himself, who brought, I mean, literally brought forth from himself. He birthed him. I ain't talking about no womb. I'm talking about like you bringing somebody up, okay? Like like when people say, man, I birthed that whole thing over there. That's me. That's my creation. He made that. Every spirit coming from him. Hold on now. Is it an act of God that the people that he said were meant to be the head and not the tail, meant to be above and not beneath? Is it an act of God that he said that if they did not do the things that which they were supposed to do, that he would put them in a land where not only would they be oppressed, but they would have to capitulate and acquiesce all their agency? Right. See, it's so simple and so easy for individuals who don't have to fight for anything to not say it's an act of God. But if you have to actually say it's an act of God, and once again, we're coming from either angle. I'm gonna come at it from the Egyptologist, Nubian, Hotep angle. These dudes are gods on the earth. So is it an act of God that we're here? Because you're saying that we and they are alike and the same, and you're calling all them gods, and we're only here because they sold us. So is it an act of God on that level? Or is it an act of the Most High God, the Creator, the true, actual, forever living one, eternal, ancient head of days? And people can get frustrated, get mad, not understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that we're in white heaven for a reason. A lot of people think we're here for no reason. A lot of people say that we're here, like I said, an act of warfare. Though there's no evidence of this war ever taking place on the continent. None whatsoever. The only real facts that are true and can really actually be verified is the fact that people were marched out of the land onto boats to ports and shipped away. That is for sure and for certain. That is not to be questioned or to be put on a mantle as a mysterious thing. That is for certain. So, because we know that, do we say, okay, it's on them and they owe us? See, once again, the African, the whoever they call themselves, the Kemite, and I know they're not the children of Kim or Kam, but listen, whoever they want to be, do they realize that if you run around here aggrandizing yourself, self deification, and now you've done something to us, and I'm saying it's an act of God that I'm in white heaven, all cap, God, all cap. We're gonna get somewhere today because I'm tired of individuals trying to use both things. Like look, follow me. I don't need both sides in no argument. There is no argument. For there to be an argument, somebody has to be right, somebody has to be wrong. That's a true argument, people. You don't, you listen, if you and someone else are contending the exact same thing, saying something totally different, but you mean the exact same thing, this is not an argument. This is a confusion of perception. Totally different concept. I'm not going to break, I'll break into that briefly. A confusion of perception is like if you hang somebody, right? And you kill them, and a person says, well, that's justice. And another person says, well, he had it coming. Whether the person who says he had it coming believes in justice, whether the person who believes in justice believes he had it coming, they both understand that this is what their actions equivalated to. This is what the climax, the crescendo, whatever you want to call it, the apex, whatever you want to say, that's what it is. This is where they brought themselves here. So I'm saying that if the people are willing to go to places and listen to individuals who deify you, call you gods and goddesses, call you kings and queens in your most oppressed state. Listen to me. But then won't turn around and say it's a self-willful act that you're here. You're here because you brought it on yourself. Do you hear me? You can't be God, be an African that sold their own godlike people, kings and queens, to lesser individuals who are not godlike, if what you're saying is true, and sent them to a godless land. That if you're saying you're God, that's an act of God then, because that's a willful act on your persons. You do not escape this. The treachery shall be uncovered. My people shall sell you to the Grecian before it's all said and done. Think I'm playing. The real Grecians, the black ones. That being said, everybody wants to act like it's a condition that's just randomized. Okay, when's the last time they went and beat down an Italian to death? I'm talking about a little Italian boy. Beat him unrecognizable. Beat him foobar. Okay? All right? It went from all good to snafu. Right. Tell me about any other race of individuals who's been done like that the same age, around that same time. Just tell me. See, the acts of the God, see, once again, they don't get to not hold that. The Most High God holds all that because He's like, I'm enacting justice on bloodlines who don't know who they are. It's unjust to the eyes, but to the soul and to the spirit, it's something that the people can't even understand. He's like, it's not about Emmett, it's about people who came before him. Right. It wasn't about MLK. It was about people who came before him. If you're saying that the people that they seeded from, see, you can't call yourself a king or a queen unless you acquiesce, capitulate, surrender, and give in to the idea, the thought, the fact, and the truth that your slave ancestors, no matter how denigrated, okay, no matter how wickedly oppressed they may have seemed, they must have been kings and queens themselves. This is an undeniable truth. Or you're lying. You're not a king or a queen. Thank you very much. You cannot tell me you come from kings and queens, but will deny that the people you come from were lesser than that. Now we're getting somewhere. See, this is why there's nothing to talk about with them. Why would I speak to them on this level when all they'll do is try to shout me down? Or say that the ignorant can barely put two numbered together individuals who were overpaid and underqualified. Say because they said that you're not who you think you are, that you're not who you know you are. Ain't that about a bitch? White heaven has birthed a great many number of geniuses who look more like Demetrius than not, whose demeanor, whether you want to believe it or not, more like minds than not. That's why there's nothing for me to be afraid of. There'll be more. There will be more. Because I come from a powerful bloodline of people who have spread themselves about. We might be small in number, but we're great in effectiveness. My effectiveness can't be measured. We'd have to be able to remove all of the videos that I ever made on YouTube and remove the impact that it had on the individuals who ever viewed them, and then see if we would be in the same place right here, right now. But because we can't do that, I just have to wonder exactly where they would be if I had never put and cast my lot forward. Would they still be talking about clones and the Illuminati? Right on. All their weirdos, nonsense. However, yet, the act of God, it was an act of God, but the act of God that led us here. Once again, where are the trolls at to try to say ignorant things? On YouTube then totally killed the channel. But I love that part though, because when I put this forth and the people who still come by and the people who still get it, they'll get and they'll know exactly what I'm saying. You cannot call yourself a God, be of a certain bloodline who affected who you are right now, and then say that it was not an act of God that put you here. In verse, you cannot believe in the Most High God of Moses, of Abraham, of Noah, of Sem, okay, of Seth. You cannot worship that God and not acknowledge that he told his people that if you do wrong by me, I will send you to a place and you will be lesser than everyone. This is a fact. So the fact that the idea that we're here having this conversation where I'm breaking it to people that either way you get done with it, it's an act of God that you're in white heaven. Right. They get mad at me because I say things like this. You believe in the Most High? How could you? I already know why I'm here. I'm letting those know who deify themselves, who worship themselves. You put yourself here, whether you realize it or not. I've proven my point in 17 minutes in. This will only go so long today because I don't have time to kick nobody's teeth in. I already have. In 17 minutes, I've totally demolished their godhood and who they believe themselves to be. It doesn't matter if the white man stole the fucking Bible and changed everything in it. Guess what, nigga? You still claim to be a fucking god. Right. So if that's the case, I can mitigate the entire Bible. I can say the Most High God hand is at work, but this is an act of a force who's against his people. And this is not his own willful act against his people. If you want to say some dumb shit like that, you want to say, oh, the white man did this and mistranslated and mistransliterated this. Okay, cool. Cool. Say that then. Say that. But why the Most High God, capital G, tell Moses, I'm going to make you a lowercase God unto Pharaoh? Salute to Brother Ben Judah for always making that a point to me. But that's why when I read the Bible to all y'all all those years ago, and just recently as a year ago, I made that a point when I got there. Right. Lowercase g. This could only be, we're not here on the act of a lowercase g. It couldn't be. He could barely handle those people in the wilderness. So there's no way he could logistically put together enslaving all those same people and sending them thousands of miles away. I don't see that happening. I don't see him having the patience. It would be a capital case G. And since all you lowercase g's claim to be working together, I'm going to say all y'all energy made a capital G, O, and D just for this act alone. You don't have no more power to do nothing else. You don't have no power to undo it. We're stuck. Your final act as a God was to curse us in this fucking land. Pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back while I drink my brew. And I smoke my weed. Talking about self-medicating. Please. I do this so that way I don't rip people's heads off. Like theirs. Because they all the way deserve it. Will tell me, you, the next man, the next woman, and child, you're a god. You're a goddess. You're a king. You're a queen. All we got to do is come together and rise up. The niggas who came together to sell us, or did you hear me? The niggas who came together to sell us need to come together to bring the shit back together. I'm not doing shit. I didn't put myself here. I'm not about to do a fucking thing to help nobody who claims to be a god. You got me, man, please, nigga. Like I said, if and only if they capitulate that the Most High God, the creator of heaven and earth, put us here, then everything I said about them, they can brush that to the side. If and only if. But since they question with great vehemency his presence and his power, but lift themselves up, not by their own bootstraps, no, but by the coffers of a person who has no self-confidence. So these people donate to them to give them self-confidence, telling themselves, I'm not like the individuals they're speaking on, even if I hold all those characteristics. I refuse to be a joker and a lame like that. I'll give them no thing. The people I give something to aren't people who are on a soapbox as if they're the most righteous thing to ever walk the earth and never show their face. Even Moses could be seen by the people. These cowards talk like if somebody see them, they'll die. And the ones that you can see, the ones that they do present to you, this just tells you all these dudes are agents. They have to be. You have the intellectual side who you can't see. The intellectuals that you can see have character flaws like no other. Right. I'm talking about the ones that are put out there. Then the people who are out there are individuals that have, like, if their past is not questionable, their intent, okay, their ideology, truthfully, is questionable. Any person that goes from talking about uh demon African deity juice to see what we did with reparations, not to be trusted, honored, or admired. You can love them, you can pray for them, but they're not to be trusted. Like I told y'all, it's an act of God. We got here how? If you let them tell it, The white man came into Africa before they even had bullets that could fire rapid fire. When you could shoot multiple arrows at a time, roughly the same range as a rifle could back then, and unleash a volley of fire from trained archers, trained cold-hearted killers who were used to killing people who look just like them, let alone people who look a little different from them. What? And they came into the land, and in the land that we live in now, where they outnumber you, they still feel the need to shoot you with the gun. Okay, whatever y'all say, man. People forget that individuals like Shaka Zulu didn't exist 500 years ago. Man, dude was here not even 200 years ago. You hear what I'm saying? Right. They're for, they're forgetting that the weapons had been fully evolved. There's a reason why it took them so long to impregnate that land. Now, once again, if they are truly who you claim them to be, and people say that they're gods, how'd they get impregnated? I don't want to hear it because they were fighting amongst themselves. That doesn't make logical sense. That something that's lesser than a god overtook a god. I'm sorry. Like you're gonna have to like make that make way more sense and put a lot more logic on it. Like I said, you got dudes talking about we're selling devil juice, and now we're talking about reparations. But while I'm trying to sell devil juice, I make these little movies that you guys pay for. Smart. Or is it smart? See, is a God greater than a goddess? It's a question. I know some of you Nefertiti worshipers out there. I know some of you womb worshipers out there are ready to tell me about how a woman is so much greater, so much more divine, wiser than a man. I know you're ready. I know you're ready to tell me about how a cross is nothing but a fallopian tube. I hear you. I hear how you're ready to tell me how Jesus ain't really Jesus and Mary or Marie couldn't really be Marie. I hear you. Yet people take those names to this day and don't take the names of the other individuals who you talk about. Ironically, I say that because the same individuals who take these names are just as aware of the names that you say that the people got it from. You can't convince me that Birdhead was a real dude over Jeshua. You can't convince me that Crocodile Head or Cat Head or Fox Head or Frog Head or none of those other freaking chimeras were real over a person who people still name their children after. I'm sorry. Make it make sense. You give accolades, you give characteristics to groups who weren't even here on the earth when those things were first thought about and first put forth. Make it make sense. For real, for real. Make it make sense. Before there were ever known to be anybody ever called Muslims, understand the children of Ismail have been around for a long time and they were never known to not eat swine. That's a new development for them in the last 600 years, 550 years, give or take. Right. Brand, brand new development. Funniest part is, how could Muhammad know about the book unless the book existed? People are like, what's your point, Meech? During the crusade, they burnt up all the Bibles and everything else. And guess who was fighting over control over how the story would be disseminated? That's right, the so-called Christians and the so-called Muslims. Both groups who benefited off of slavery. Yes, Muslims benefited off of slavery. Not all of the founding fathers were Christians. Where you guys think all that moon worship and stuff comes from here in America? Man, I'm not going to get carried away. I refuse to. Do y'all realize that the individuals who claim to be kings and queens, gods and goddesses, will not explain to you how, once again, individuals who they tell you right now, these same kings and queens, these same gods and goddesses, will tell you right now, this old mayo eating, mayo sandwich eating, meth smoking, troglodyte cave monkey, call them all out their name, but somehow they still got their foot on your neck. That's why I just call them bastards from Middle Earth. You know, Middle Earth mofos. I didn't say they weren't unintelligent. I call them wicked. When I say they're wicked, I'm not saying that all of them are unintelligent. I'm saying that they don't have the ability to put, if they could put wisdom, knowledge, and understanding together, there's no way that they could have done what they did. Right. No other group dared to enslave you. That's what the crusade was about. I keep trying to tell y'all this. The Muslims was like, we cannot let these people get enslaved. Not like that. Right. People like, how'd they benefit? Look at everything that slavery birthed. Look at the fact that they're able now to try to finish off the crusade. And they think that they're going to be on the winning side of it, and they're still going to be on the losing side. They just have, there's billions of Muslims on the earth. Billions. I can't stress that to y'all enough. If there aren't 2.5, almost 3 billion Muslim people on the earth, or people who see things more or less the way Islam is set up, you're really lying to yourself. You're all the way lying to yourself. You're like, just think about it for a minute. Oh, there's a whole bunch of Russian Muslims. All them dudes over there with the last name Stan, right on. Almost all of them have Muslim or Islam type of ideologies. Word, right on. A major portion of India, believe it or not, identifies with Islam. A lot of Southeast Asia, from the Philippines to Thailand to Cambodia to Laos, right on. Sri Lanka, all those places. Bangladesh, what's it called now? It's not called Myanmar anymore. I forget what it's called now, but y'all know what I'm talking about. That other little spot, that place too. Bunch of Muslims. There's a whole bunch of them. They're gonna be on the losing side again. But the funniest thing is they don't claim to be gods or goddesses, kings or queens. Right. And look how much further ahead they are than you. Because they're not telling lies on that level. They might be lying about other stuff, but they're not lying about that. They're not going to go out their way to lie about that. They're not stupid enough to do that. Only black people are that fucking dumb. I mean, like, nigga, like, me and Andre be talking about this, and we be saying how, like, white folks, a lot of them deserve to be called morons, but there's a lot of niggas Afro bearded niggas who deserve to be called morons too. They fit the description. They like you come from a defective bloodline or something. You have to, because the only way you could not come from a defective bloodline is if the people you claim to come from you don't come from, and then you really do come from a defective bloodline. Because that's why it makes sense you talk like that. The people you say you come from aren't defective. It's only you. Okay, that's not your father or your adopted, whichever one it is. I don't really care. I'm that type of dude to let them know. Ain't no ain't no person gonna tell me that they're a king or a queen, a god or a goddess, and I don't get to put the fact that we're here in slavery on them. If they a god, they came from a god. Right. Hear what I'm saying? If they claim that, they came from that. Right. How often do you hear Africans call themselves gods and goddesses? Be real. How often do you really hear the people from the islands say that about themselves? Be real. Like, tell yourself the truth. American niggas are like really the only group that does that. There's some guys over there in the UK, sure, who got that same mental issue that a lot of them over here have, but they know better. They know better. While I piff, they don't gotta like what I say. I don't want them to really. I want them to love it and put it forth in their life and say, he right. If you've been calling yourself a god or a goddess, this is the day you stop and you put that shit to a halt. A complete, utter halt. We're in white heaven because of you. Because of the people from bloodlines like yours. The people from bloodlines like mine didn't have the heart to stop y'all back then. We should have killed you, and we didn't. Now look at where we're at. So I take responsibility too, knowing that I come from a bloodline of people that were either incapable, uh, unwilling, or unable. Incapable being they might have been healthy, they might have been able to take this person on. The circumstances of their life, right on, doesn't put them in a direction or doesn't put them in the vicinity to be able to do that. So they're made unable by that, but they're not unable by as in the sense of a person who's closer but lacks the resources, lacks the know-how, lacks the willingness, right on, to do that thing. We're only alive because certain people did the dirty part. I'm gonna show this to y'all just because I think you should see it. See that gentleman right there? That's my grandfather, right? He killed an unknowable number of white folks in his life because he served in World War II. Can you hear me? Who knows how many white folks he actually got to kill? Yeah, he was in one of those kind of units. Real life infantry soldier. He served in Korea too, but that's neither here nor there. I'll line up one of my pictures one of these days next to his, and you'll see how much we really look alike. We really look a lot alike. Just don't have the light on my face to really accentuate. But he was light skinned like my daddy. True killer, a real one. You know why he was here? Because an act of God. You know why he did that? Because an act of God. Now, I'd rather believe that the Most High God, the creator of heaven and earth, put him in those positions, that he would give off the proper genomic material to his progeny, that they would have the outright and overt willingness to defend themselves if need be. I've done my best to be not a killer of men, nor a killer of anyone. I've done my very best. From time to time, I'm tempted to just show people how very little their life means to me. But then again, I just mean so much more to myself. I don't get outside of my person to even show them that that's how I feel. But in my mind has already taken it there. And some people don't realize ever, like, if they make the wrong move, I'll do something that's fatally harmful to them before they ever try to get to do it to me. There's no need to get loud about it. If you're going to get loud about it, just know that it's time to take action soon thereafter, or be ready to do what you got to do. But there's no need to get loud with people. You just let people know, hey, if you keep doing that, I'm gonna do this. That's simple. It's that simple. White heaven, an act of God. Do you believe that you're here because the so-called continent of Africa was impregnated or impermeated by the influence and the influx of those who had came from the continent of, or the area in space that people now know as Europe? Sidebar fact, the idea that not too long before, the Byzantine Empire would have been raided and wounded and ravished by those that are considered the Moors, leaving behind an unknowable, I repeat, an unknowable number of children in the empire and the surrounding region through their sons and their daughters. I wonder where the Spanish got it from. I wonder where the English got it from. They had never done anything like that before in their history. And you're wondering where these individuals got these ideas from. The same people who call themselves gods now. Shh, let it sink in. Who else would call themselves a god but the child of a Moor, the child of a true black Arab? Who else? And in white heaven, where we're at right now, we're in a stage where last time I was letting people know these dudes is faggots, whoop de wop, whoop de wop. We done already hit another stage where, in that little bit of almost a so-called 30-day period where I just stood back and I just watched what was happening, it didn't change so much. They didn't have so many of these entertainers and famous people be accused of salacious things. I know where I'm at. I know how I got here. I know the same individuals that I'm accusing of being the worst of the worst are the same people who call themselves gods. I need you start to put this stuff together. I'm not just talking. I'm not just saying this shit just to say it to myself. I'm watching this shit. It's an act of God that I'm able to identify somebody who is a biological born male who's trying to be a female, no matter how feminine they think they look. I'm like, I'll be like, yeah, bro. And they be like, I'm not a bro, I'm a sis. Everybody can't see it. Right on. The same way that I look at the grade of people's hair, I can look at certain things, I can hear certain things, I can just look at facial feet. Right, right, right. I'm in a state where there's so many of them running around, you get to see what they look like. You're like, yeah, somebody will be like, oh, look at that. You'll be like, bro, that's a dude. They'll be like, that's not a dude. You'll be like, look at him. And then they'll look, they'll be like, damn, that is a dude. It's like, bro, right. Yeah, you sound crazy. That's why I don't say anything from about no kind of female, nothing until I can really see them. I don't say nothing. Right on. There is no thirsting out here. Right on. I get why all that adulterous nonsense in the mind is forbidden. This is why. Because it's like, nigga, you don't know what you're looking at till you get right up there and look at them. And then you're still not supposed to be salivating when you're like, oh, it's a female. It's what I thought it was. Right on? No. You're supposed to just hold your ground and be like, whatever. But I'm watching this shit happen before my eyes. An act of God. Now, the Most High God, creator of heaven and earth, said that the earth would be worse than it was in the days of Noah. He sent his Christ to tell us that it would be worse than in the days of Noah. I believe that. We're watching it now unfold right before our very eyes. You have individuals who are making tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, able to afford luxuries that other people cannot afford. Some of them are not luxuries, but they're able to afford procedures that will change or morph or otherwise what's the word I'm looking for? It's not coming to mind right now, but when it does, I will throw it out there. Right on. But it just really means to make it different. Uh, and you have all these individuals who are trying to do that with understanding. They can pay for somebody to be confused. Your ancestor put us here if they're God. And if you believe in the Most High God and we are the tail and not the head because we fucked up, then this is why we're here. See, they're scared to admit that part. They hate to hear it because I'm going to drive it home on them. You don't get to be around me and me not tell you what's coming. Right. The year of the anti-vigilante is popped off. But why would I tell people that when we already see it popping off? And they can't understand why it's happening. I told you, it's anti-vigilanteism. A person that gets fired from the job and goes back and shoots it up is an anti-vigilante. There's no justice in that. Right on. Being vigilant is to call the right authoritative bodies with them and leave it at that. That's a vigilante, the one that goes all the way out their way. And I get it. They took your ability to pay for yourself or to feed yourself from you, but that's not a reason to murder anyone. Not really. All the worst out of you, but it's still not a reason to murder a person. But the transformers who are running around trying to influence people's children, right? The gay ones, the faggot ones who were trying to tell people that the way that they live should be embraced. Right. It's an act of God. Understand, if you were the head of the land here, that would not be going on. You're not the head. You are indeed the tail, my friends. Right. Accept it. You're not God. It's a true act of God. Because if you're telling me that you niggas are the reason we're here, and you niggas are the reason why these dudes are gay, because there's a whole bunch of black faggots running around. See, I need y'all to understand. I blame niggas then. I don't blame white folks. Why would I blame them? They ain't never created nothing in their life anyway. So I'm gonna blame some non-creative ass motherfuckers for some shit that they really didn't bring forth because it was a corruption that was brought to them more than likely by a wicked ass slave. Right. Right. Like I said, the Moors left an unknowable number of children all throughout what you consider Europe. Unknowable. Clearly, they were raping a lot of the women. That's the that's the only logical answer to that. That's the only thing that makes sense. Only thing. Right. And when they were finally repulsed, you know, staged retreat, because them, the Arabs, all them dudes is in on it. That's where we're at. We're at a time where people don't want to hear that you're stuck here because somebody else claims to be something that they're not, or they don't admit that he that is truly who he knows he is does not get his just due. If they gave the Most High God his just due before, we wouldn't be here. I need niggas to understand that. Like, you're not smarter than me. Right on? If you were so, look, you're so fucking smart, right? That if you fuck around and not work for 6 months, a year, your ass is cooked. No matter how much money you got, because you don't know what could happen. That could just eat up all your funds and finances. Right. You're not that smart. And there's niggas who are making buku money. I I got relatives that probably got more than $1 million saved. For real, for real. On paper, legit. And let something go wrong in the next 2 or 3 years. Or let something hold them down for a year or two. With the kind of expenses they have, their money will be drained. They have to keep making money to maintain the money they have put away. They can't stop making money. Right. That's the shit I'm talking about. Like niggas don't know. It's not as easy as people think it is. But if you think that they're God and they put themselves there, then that means that they put us in all these other trials and tribulations that we suffer from right now. You don't get to have it both ways in white heaven. You don't get to tell me that the white man is a devil. I'm tired of this shit. Listen, I know that motherfucking the Swintillion is the devil, but I'm tired of everybody acting like it's not because of niggas we're here. Who are okay? Who are the children of Israel? Somebody tell me, because we're about to close this shit up in the next 7 or 8 minutes. Who are the children of Israel? Let it be known in the comment section when you hear this part. Who are they? What do they look like to you? If the people that you're saying have never been a documented time in any land where we can document it, and I'm talking about for sure it's them, because there's too many pictures of brown skinned, curly haired Egyptians Egyptians with beards, let alone non-bearded Egyptians with brown hair. I mean, with brown skin and curly hair, or something like. Give me one moment. But the point being this, y'all. more than people could ever understand, more than people could ever put in their minds. We're not here not because. I quit. I hate the fact that people act like this shit is a random act of fucking events. Quit acting like it's random. It's not random. So when you get in the car and you turn the key over, that's random. When you accelerate the gas, that's random. No, that is deliberate. So just as deliberate as you do that and commit to that action, somebody put us here. Something, someone put us here. And I'm not talking about fucking boats. I'm talking about a course of action and details, logistical efforts. You want me to believe that the white man ready to put everything off on the pink skin dude. But call yourself a god and a goddess. I'm going to bring that point home and stress that. Why are you not the head? Why are you a god and a goddess and you need reparations? Make it make sense. Why are you a god and a goddess and you have individuals running around here who don't know if they want to be a boy or a girl and really just can't accept the fact that they're a man or a woman or a biological male or a biological female, because some of them are not men and women. Some of them are not even people. They're lesser than people. I didn't make it up. The creator of heaven and earth said that there are Gentiles. And a Gentile is what? Not a person. Because if it was a person, it would say so. Right. So you can't tell me that, a Gentile is a person. No, they're not a person. Piffin. Had a bitch ass nigga talking about people need to stop trying to self medicate off of the booze and the chronic. I was laughing. I was laughing my ass off. I'm just like, did this nigga not realize? It's not like I was out there drinking and smoking when they came and arrested me. Right. It's not like I was out there drinking and smoking when they served me the Orpo. It's not like I was out there drinking and smoking when motherfucking homeboy had got snatched up. Right. Exactly. Exactly. It's not like I was out there drinking and smoking on the incidents that the 4 incidents that they claim to have written down. Right. Let that sink the fuck in. Not to say that I never drank or smoked no chronic out there. I mean, drank no wine. You know what I mean? Because that was my typical drinks, some red wine, Merlot. But right, drank some wine and smoked a little bit of chronic out there. Might have a beer here and there. I might drink some liquor here and there, but no, not really. Not too much on the liquor side. Just because you need to be able to not get faded when you're out there. So anyway, my point is this: I did not. I was not in a situation where any of those gods or goddesses who incubated it, who they claimed to be gods and goddesses. So meaning they put me in that situation. Now one of them came to say, "Hey, look, get back, little pink skin, pig skin devil." Nope. Matter of fact, still fighting the bullshit right now. So that's why I'm like, they really make me like wonder, like, do people get it? Like, they've lied to everybody. Do you understand that they've lied to you, brothers and sisters? They owe you an explanation. You don't just owe me one, they owe you one. They owe me shit. Because I already know why they done what I know why they done what they done. It's not a mystery to me. I get it and I understand it. They're not God. An active God, a true active God, a true active God is to have stricken the people with insanity. That's right. Blindness and astonishment of the mind, that they would call themselves gods. Starting to understand why he said that because people are crazy, right? And they say those things. I said all those things to say that, like, I know who the real, I know why I'm here. I'm here just to say all these things right here. So that way, can't nobody ever say it's never been said to them. Because that's going to be their first whack ass excuse. It's in the cloud, it's here forever. As long as I don't delete it, as long as YouTube doesn't delete it, it's here forever. Right. So you be confused about whatever you want to be confused about, brothers and sisters. You have reservations about whatever you want to have reservations about. I tell you this part, when it's not me, nope, when it's not even a sub person that's trying to to take all that you have and all will ever have away from you, you'll understand then that white heaven indeed is an act of the Most High God. I salute my people. The ones who understood understand. I salute them again, just like they do over there overseas. Bam. Right on. And I salute you once more. As we leave on this note, it will have been no different if these individuals had never said anything and had just let it be. But because they claim to be so great and so righteous, we will never get to see what it is that the Most High God really had planned and had put forth, because they'll never accept it. They'll never say that's the Most High God. I'm not sure they have the ability to do that, y'all. Anyway, an act of God, that I look just like my grandfather, and I look just like my father, and my son looks just like me. An act of God. And that has nothing to do with any of those who claim to be anything. That is an act of the true living creator who will be here everlasting in the heaven of heavens. I love y'all people. Y'all be good. May your next week, or may tomorrow be better than today. And may your next week be better than your last. We will be back at this. I don't know how soon, but we'll be back at it. But just take that in consideration. They've self deified themselves into complete fault for our situation.